and we're joined on the program to take another look at this by Senator Ali Ndume, who's a senator representing Borno South. There's a chairman of the Senate Committee on Army. Senator Ndume, thank you for joining us on the program tonight. I'd like us to pick up where we left off with Governor Darius Ishaku. The governors of your region met today, and I asked him about the impact of that meeting. But for you, I mean, you're a member of the National Assembly, so your view will definitely be different. How do you rate the impact of the previous meetings, and what do you expect from this meeting that was held today?
Well, already results have been coming out from the series of meetings they have been having, because we are partnering and we have been following. This is the 6th meeting that is holding in Yobe. They have had such meeting in each of the 6 states. And you remember the 6 states were just one state known as Northeastern State then. And we are faced with common problems, especially in what we call the Bay States, that is Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe. And that has impact or effect on the contagious states of Taraba, Bauchi, and Gombe, being neighboring states. So this is a very good development, and actually it has been impactful because they meet regularly to discuss common problems and then find preferred solutions to it. As the speaker said, they have already identified most of the challenges that we have. My governor, who is the current chairman, that is Professor Zulum, in his address, which you heard now, captured it in terms of what we are facing with the insurgency, where the epicenter of it is Borno. And the governor of Yobe also discussed the problems that are responsible for the situation we find ourselves. Also, the governor of Taraba painted the picture of what he's facing in the state, and he has agreed, as I said, with what has been said. This development is a welcome one, and I'm sure it is going to help. It is helping. And as my governor said, there is light at the end of the tunnel. The issue of insurgency, the epic of it is coming down. The Boko Haram are surrendering. But the ISWAP is there. We are facing 2 challenges. There is ISWAP group and the Boko Haram. The Boko Haram group are the ones that are surrendering, and that means the security agencies, or the army particularly, are now faced with one enemy instead of 2, while the other is surrendering and or is weak to some extent. But in the Northeast, we have peculiar problem. Because even, as the governor of Yobe said, even before the insurgency, the raising of Boko Haram, Northeast, majority part of it, especially Borno, Adamawa, part of Yobe, and part of Bauchi, right, by the United Nations Human Development Indices, is adjudged to be one of the poorest regions on earth in terms of access to education, health, and also the environmental impact and all that. So we had a lot of issues, especially in terms of poverty, which contributed, and the environmental issues, which contributed to what we are facing now, coupled with the fact that the security agencies were not really ready for this kind of situation. So it took a long time before the military put its act together. But now that and at one time,
part of me to jump in here. You referenced terrorism, which, I mean, has become famous about the region, especially those states that you mentioned. And the NSA named some groups as responsible for terrorism in the Sahel region at large earlier on, named Islamic State in the Greater Sahara, which mainly operates in Mali and extends to Niger Republic and Burkina Faso. He named Jamaat Nasser al-Islam wal Muslimin, the Islamic and Muslim Support Group, ISGS, then of course Boko Haram and ISWAP. And that for a lot of people seemed like news. But for you, is this news to you? Is this something that has been in circulation?
Not that much, because the ones that are happening outside Nigeria is what I don't have detailed information about. the NSA is in a better position, as he rightly said. But in Borno, Adama, Yobe, or Nigeria, to some extent, what the insurgents or the terrorist group that we are faced with are the ISWAP recently and the Boko Haram, which has been there for a long time. The new development, that is the new group, ISWAP, is operating in basically the Lake Chad region. But after their encounter with the Boko Haram, they have extended into part of North Nigeria, I mean northern Borno, and even part of southern Borno recently around Damboa, Askira Axis, Ngulde, and part of Biu. That I know very much about. But for those that are operating outside Nigeria, honestly, I don't have so much information. But I know that there are some groups that are springing up in Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, and I think some part of, I think those are the ones that I know.
So how much of a threat?
The NSA rightly is in a better position.
How much of a threat do these groups pose to your sub-region and Nigeria at large?
Well, I didn't get that question. Come again.
These groups, I mean, that the NSA mentioned, how much of a threat do they pose to the northeastern sub-region and Nigeria at large? I mean, we know about Boko Haram and ISWAP, but hearing about these other groups in the Sahel region at large, how much of a threat are they to Nigeria?
Already the Boko Haram and ISWAP are a big threat to us in the northeast particularly and the country in general. So to have additional terrorist group coming in will be, of course, naturally a bigger problem. But I think most of them are, especially the ISWAP and the other groups that you mentioned, are those branches that are operating under ISIS. But the ECOWAS met recently, the heads of state, I think yesterday, and they resolved to fight the terrorists in a common, using a common front. And I think the fact that they are aware and they are conscious of this problem is a solution itself. The government, especially that of what would witness with the Nigerian army and the other security agencies recently, and even the relationship or the cooperation or the synergy between the various states in the northeast with the Nigerian army and with the new development or within the agencies, that is especially what they call now the Operation Hiding Kai. That means in Hausa operation cooperation, operation with cooperation between the various agencies. They have been achieving results.
Right.
That is part of the successes that they have recorded. And what the president did recently or late last year when we cried out that the army needs more platform, it also helped because they have now more arms and ammunition coming in. Even though it's not enough yet, there is still the problem of number of the security agencies in this country. And also, as the governor of Taraba said, that the military needs to be given the real wherewithal to finish this business or these cases of insurgency and the unconventional war that they find, the Nigerian army finds itself
well,
fighting.
Quickly, Senator Ndume, so does the army, since you referenced the army, does the army also need the injection of fresh ideas, new blood, as they say?
No, they have all the ideas. What they lack still is lack of equipment and the new platform, especially modern one. Let me tell you, I oversight them. I see what is on ground. The Nigerian army needs the equipment. They don't have the equipment. They don't have the what it takes to win this war. They are just managing with what they have. And unfortunately, these are not items that you buy off the shelf. And we are being faced with a lot of frustration here and there from the manufacturing countries or the countries that have all this. So there's a lot of There's a lot that needs to be done, and I wish it can be done quickly, because security and welfare of the citizen is even the purpose of government. I've been saying that severally. So the government needs to really do more. I appreciate what the president has done recently by, bringing the supplementary budget, which we approved, and they made releases. I check on those with the committee checks on it, and the Ministry of Finance make the releases. But that is not enough. For example, the cost of the war or the military engagement everywhere in more than 30 states is expensive. Yet the equipment and the resources, that is the platforms that they need, are not there. And what more worrisome is the fact, for example, that in this year's budget, or the 2022 budget before us, the capital component of the Nigerian army is still very, very small. I said it, the chief of army staff came in and complained about, you can imagine, in the budget where you have getting to 5 trillion for capital, but only 29 billion or even 28, whereas they brought to us, is allocated for capital. That is too small for the army to properly perform under the circumstance they find themselves now.
Well, when I asked about fresh blood, fresh ideas, I'd like to follow that up by asking, are you aware of reports making the rounds about the defense chief ordering certain number of, top military officials to retire? Are you aware of that?
No, not yet, but they have this military culture, I know, that the current chief of army staff, I think is in course 37, or is it 36? By their military tradition, if the chief of army staff emerges, all those that are his seniors, that's now we are talking about, because the other course before him will now have to retire, and I think that is what. But I'm not. It's not like the chief of the CDS, the chief of defense staff, is asking those that are there to just retire. There are certain procedures, the strict procedures they follow. Or I know that, for example, if you are supposed to be promoted to a certain rank, especially after colonel or brigadier general, and you go in, you sit for the promotion exam, or you present your case for that, and you don't make it, and there's a number of times that it lapses. If you don't make it, then you have to retire. That I don't have the details, but I'm not aware of the chief of defense staff actually retiring or asking some people to just retire. But what normally happens is that if you go for, they call it going before board, a promotion board, and if you don't get promoted, if you tried it, is it 3 or 4 times, and then that's your last chance. If you don't get it that time, then you have to go.
So we're wrapping up, Senator Ndume, and I'd like us to maybe go back to the beginning, to the foundation, I mean. In proffering solutions to terrorism and insecurity at large, maybe we need to, once again, go to the root causes. Why does terrorism seem to thrive in your sub-region? Well,
as the governor of Taraba said, what happened was kind of the radical ideas that emanated. And this is common, it happens everywhere. You know, people come up with crazy ideas, and they say Boko is haram, and that was how it started. And as the governor of Taraba mentioned, these are not people that are illiterate, so to say, because if you have Islamic education, you can't say you are illiterate. And some of them are what we call Hafiz. They have crammed the Quran, but they get a queer and unacceptable ideology that they follow. But most importantly, it is the fact that the Nigerian government, when this thing started as far back as I think in 2007 or 2005, when they started with somewhere in Yobe, with a small group they called themselves Taliban then, and they started, but the government did not actually nip it in the bud that term. Instead, there was politics in it, trying to play it down, attaching religion to it. And then when it got out of, it was only when it completely got out of hand that the Nigerian government decided to really do something about it. But even then, when they were to come in to crush and address the challenges, the Nigerian army was caught unaware. And unaware, it means that they are not ready because they didn't have the equipment, they didn't have the number. As it is now, some of these challenges are not actually the business of Nigerian army, but that of police. But it's the same with police. In the population of 200 million, you have less than 400,000 police, you have less than 200,000 Nigerian army, and you in the whole of the security agencies, they are not up to 1 million. Up to now, we don't have to up to 1 million when you put immigration, police, custom, and any paramilitary or military or even SSS, when you take their number, in Nigeria, they are not up to 1 million. But here you go to Egypt that are less than 100 million, and they have more than 1 million police. And that is the problem. So if there's no enough number to police a country like as big as Nigeria, then you are bound to have this kind of a problem. And that is not only that. If you see other forms of criminality going on in the country, it's because there is no law and order. The law is there, but then when you don't have the people to enforce that law and order, then you have a problem. Well, in Nigeria, it has gotten to a point where people do things and they get away with it. All you hear is a sad story.
I mean, we could go on and on about this,
happening.
But there will always be questions about even countries that are way bigger than Nigeria, almost as big as the African continent, and how they ensure security in their regions. But as I said with the governor earlier on, perhaps we'll take this on another time, but we'd like to thank you so much, Senator Ali Ndume, Senator representing Borno South and the Chairman, Senate Committee on Army. It's been a pleasure speaking with you on the program.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Well, that's our package for tonight, everyone. It's been a pleasure having you as well join us. I'm Kayode Obikilu. Have a fantastic night ahead.